B-roll is probably the most underappreciated and overlooked pieces of any film or video for that matter. Sam Diggs, and I want to talk to you about B-roll. Oh boy, I'm terrible at B-roll. I'm terrible at planning for B-roll. I'm terrible at getting B-roll. I always just forget about it. And that's probably what hurts me, is that I forget about the B-roll. I can get the B-roll itself, I can make it look visual, appealing, and so forth, but man, I am just terrible at getting it. But what is B-roll? Well, B-roll is really that any footage that is a transition or some footage that's over another footage, maybe it's a narration piece or anything at that matter. It could also be an establishing shot. It's usually a lot of pieces that don't have sound, and you can overlay music or any other sound for that matter and use it to really advance your story. So that's really what B-roll is. It's pretty simple, but it is, again, one of the most overlooked pieces, just hands down at that point. It's super important to get B-roll for the simple fact that you can use it as a transition. You can cover up mistakes. You can use it to transition from one scene to the next scene. Like I mentioned, they're using an establishing shot, not even just an establishing shot, just using as a transition to advance your story for that matter. There's tons of ways you can do it, but it really helps in telling your story visually. That's what B-roll, I feel that B-roll really does for the story or the film. I mean, look at commercials, for instance. If you have a commercial and you're talking about coffee and you're not showing coffee, you're not showing the coffee being poured, you're not showing someone maybe drinking the coffee or the beans or where the coffee came from, which is all B-roll. If you don't say that or show that, in your commercial, then you don't have a commercial about coffee. You just have a narration over black screen. You just have a radio broadcast at that point. So B-roll is as a necessity in commercial as it is in narration, and you should really use it to your best of your ability. It's something that I know that I don't. Yeah, so first off, I do forget about B-roll. Um, I forget it all the time, but when I do remember it, or when I do actually plan for it, which is probably my biggest problem, but when I do get the B-roll itself, I want to advance the story. And even commercial sense, because you're still telling a story there, I do make sure that I'm getting it to advance the story itself. So in a commercial piece, for instance, I was doing one about a car, and I pushed the on button of the car because I wanted to advance the story that you're going somewhere in this vehicle. You're turning on the vehicle itself and you're going for a drive. You're going somewhere. And in this video, you're going for an adventure. And that's kind of what it was more about. So if I didn't have that, yeah, I could have done something different, but again, if that wasn't there, there would have just been a little bit of a gaping hole. Now in a film, you're going to want to advance the story, so I do different things. It could be a transition from one thing to another in using pictures, maybe. Maybe it's using an object, or maybe it's people going by, or anything for that matter. Maybe it's a train and using it as a transition piece. And sometimes that can amplify a lot of things too. And I used a train in an accident. I did not have B-roll or any instance of a connection for the two characters to meet. So I had to kind of think my way out of it. And I just used a roaring train and used the train going by, and bam. So you didn't see that, but it still gave you the illusion that they are meeting. I don't think it really fit the greatest, but honestly, for that instance, it fit perfect. And that's really what you can use B-roll for. And that's what I use B-roll for, is to advancing a story.
here.
So probably what I should do moving forward in getting B-roll is, well, plan for it and plan my time for it and make sure I'm getting that actual shot and building out a shot list and a storyboard and showcasing all of those videos that really help advance the story or really the project overall. So basically what you need to do when you're going through and you need B-roll, and you should always get B-roll to some shape or form, is plan for it. Make sure you have it built into your story, make sure you have it built into your shot list and so forth, so that way when you get to set, you can get that B-roll. And then also when you're on set, you don't always need to get it when you're around an actor, because obviously you're working around times of an actor and you don't want to, waste time in getting a B-roll shot that it doesn't involve the actor and wasting their time and everyone else's time when you could have done that at a different time. But again, that goes with planning, and that's one of the biggest things that I know that I can definitely take a note of, and I am definitely going to be doing this moving forward, is planning for the shot itself and just planning for it overall and making sure it fits in your film or your commercial project or whatever related. Yeah, so don't overlook your B-roll and make sure you plan for it. As well as don't overlook that subscribe button and the like button, and like this video, and stay tuned because the next video might be about my first short. So take care.